Here is something nobody talks about when it comes to living in Europe. Germany, one of the richest countries on the planet, has towns where you can buy a full house for less than the price of a used car. I am not talking about abandoned ruins in the middle of nowhere. I am talking about real towns with real infrastructure. High-speed internet, free healthcare, free university education, and train stations that connect you to the rest of Europe in hours, while everyone is fighting over overpriced apartments in Berlin, Munich, and Hamburg, spending 60 to 70% of their income just on rent. A small number of smart people have figured out the cheat code. They are moving to towns where the cost of living is so low that it almost feels illegal. And the best part, Germany's world-class infrastructure means these cheap towns still have better public services than expensive cities in most other countries. So let me walk you through 10 German towns so affordable that once you hear the numbers, you will seriously question every financial decision you have ever made. But before we start, let me set the context, because this is important. Germany is facing something extraordinary right now. Hundreds of small towns across the eastern and central regions are experiencing population decline. Young people moved to big cities decades ago and never came back. What they left behind are fully built towns with beautiful old houses, functioning hospitals, schools, and supermarkets, but not enough people to fill them. Some local governments are so desperate for new residents that they are literally offering financial incentives for people to move in. This is not a crisis for you. This is the biggest opportunity in European real estate right now. And it will not last forever, because word is spreading fast. Now let us get into the list. Town number 10. At number 10, we have Görlitz in Saxony, sitting right on the Polish border. Population, approximately 56,000. And before you think border town means middle of nowhere, let me stop you right there. Görlitz has been called the most beautiful town in Germany. Hollywood agrees because Quentin Tarantino, Wes Anderson, and multiple major studios have filmed movies here. The Grand Budapest Hotel, filmed in Görlitz. The architecture is so stunning that it survived World War II almost completely untouched, which is incredibly rare for a German city. Now, here is where it gets interesting financially. Apartment prices average 800 to 1,200 euros per square meter. To put that in perspective, the same square meter costs 5,000 to 7,000 euros in Munich and 4,000 to Roxane im Bettering. You can buy a fully renovated 2-bedroom apartment here for 60,000 to 90,000 euros. A 3-bedroom house with a garden runs 100,000 to 180,000 euros. Rent is equally shocking. A decent 2-bedroom apartment costs 350 to 500 euros per month, including utilities. That is what people in Munich pay for a parking space. I connected with a British freelance designer in his mid-30s who moved to Görlitz 4 years ago. He bought a renovated apartment with high ceilings and original wooden floors for 72,000 euros in 2020. He told me his friends in London spend more on rent in 3 years than he spent buying his entire apartment outright. He works remotely for UK clients, earns in pounds, and spends in grits, euros. His cost of living is roughly 900 euros per month, including everything. He said the first year felt like he was doing something wrong because everything was so cheap. The trade-off. The job market locally is limited, so you either need remote work or self-employment. Winters are genuinely cold, reaching -10 degrees Celsius. And while the town is beautiful, nightlife is modest compared to Berlin. But with Dresden only 90 minutes away by train and Poland literally across the bridge for even cheaper groceries, Görlitz delivers European elegance at Eastern European prices. Town number 9. At number 9, Chemnitz, in Saxony, population around 245,000, making it a proper city, not a village. This is where the numbers start to feel almost unbelievable. Chemnitz has the lowest property prices of any major German city. Apartments sell for 600 to 1,100 euros per square meter. Houses with gardens start at 80,000 euros. You can find older apartments needing renovation for as little as 30,000 to 50,000 euros. But here is the part most people miss entirely. Chemnitz was named European Capital of Culture for 2025. That is not a small thing. It means hundreds of millions of euros in investment are flowing into the city right now. New cultural venues, renovated public spaces, improved infrastructure, and international attention are transforming this city in real time. The city has a full university, the Chemnitz University of Technology, with tuition that is essentially free. A major hospital provides comprehensive medical care. Tram and bus networks cover the entire city. And a direct train to Dresden takes just 50 minutes, with Leipzig reachable in 70 minutes. I talked to a Canadian couple in their early 40s who moved from Toronto 3 years ago. They bought a 3-bedroom apartment in a renovated Art Nouveau building for just 85,000 euros in 2021. The wife works remotely for a Canadian tech company. The husband started learning German and now works part-time at a local international startup. They told me their total monthly expenses, including mortgage payments, groceries, health insurance, transportation, and entertainment, come to roughly 1,400 euros for 2 people. In Toronto, they were spending over 4,000 Canadian dollars on rent alone. The honest trade-off is that Chemnitz carries an image problem within Germany. Many Western Germans dismiss it without ever visiting. The city has faced challenges with far-right political activity, which makes headlines. But the couple told me their actual daily experience has been welcoming and that the international community is growing steadily, especially with the Capital of Culture designation attracting creative professionals from across Europe. Now the towns I have covered so far are genuinely cheap. But what I am about to show you next makes even Chemnitz look expensive. If you are finding this valuable, drop a like right now, because it helps this video reach other people looking for exactly this kind of information. Let us continue. Town number 8 at number 8. Plauen in Saxony, in the Waagland region. Plauen might be the most undervalued town on this entire list. Property prices are genuinely startling. Apartments sell for 400 to 800 euros per square meter. You can buy a 2-bedroom apartment for 25,000 to 50,000 euros. Houses with land start at 60,000 euros. I found listings for fully habitable 3-bedroom houses at 70,000 to 120,000 euros. Let those numbers sink in for a moment. A complete house for the price of a new car. Plauen has a rich industrial heritage in lace and textile manufacturing. The town center features beautiful Digital architecture from its prosperous era. A full hospital, multiple schools, supermarkets, and regular train connections to major cities are all present. Hof is 30 minutes away. Dresden and Leipzig are reachable within 2 hours by train. I spoke with an American woman in her late 50s, a retired teacher who moved from Ohio 5 years ago. She bought a renovated 3-bedroom house with a large garden for 68,000 euros in 2019. She told me she spent months researching cheap places to retire in Europe. Portugal, Spain, and Greece were all on her list. Then she discovered Plauen, and the decision was immediate. Nowhere else offered German infrastructure, German healthcare, and German efficiency at these prices. Her monthly expenses run about 750 euros, including everything. She spends her days gardening, hiking in the Vogtland Hills, and taking train trips across Europe. The trade-off is that Plauen has experienced significant population decline since losing nearly half its residents since 1990. This means some neighborhoods feel empty, and the younger demographic is thin. But for retirees, remote workers, or anyone who values quiet living with solid infrastructure, this population decline is precisely what creates the affordability opportunity. Town number 7. At number 7. Sangerhausen in Saxony-Anhalt. Population approximately 27,000. Located at the southern edge of the Harz Mountains. This is where Germany's real estate market enters territory. That will make you question whether you are reading the numbers correctly. Property here sells for 350 to 700 euros per square meter. Complete houses, not apartments, full houses with gardens, sell for 40,000 to 90,000 euros. I have seen habitable houses listed for under 30,000 euros. But Sangerhausen is not just cheap land. The town sits at the doorstep of the Harz Mountains, one of Germany's most beloved natural regions. Hiking trails, historic castles, and the famous Brocken Mountain are all within easy reach. The town itself holds a world record as home to Europe's largest rose garden, the Europarosarium, with over 8,600 rose varieties. The infrastructure is solid. A regional hospital operates in town. Schools from primary through secondary serve families. Regular trains connect to Halle in 60 minutes, and from there to Leipzig, Berlin, and beyond. Shopping is covered with discount supermarkets, bakeries, and local shops. I connected with a Dutch couple in their early 60s who retired here 3 years ago. They sold their small apartment in Utrecht for 280,000 euros. They bought a 4-bedroom house with a 1,000 square meter garden in Sangerhausen for 52,000 euros and renovated it for another 30,000 euros. That left them with nearly 200,000 euros in savings. They told me the math was absurd. They traded a tiny Dutch apartment for a beautiful German house, a massive garden, access to the Harz Mountains, and enough money left over to never worry about finances again. Their monthly costs come to about 800 euros for 2 people. The trade-off is genuine. The local economy offers limited employment opportunities. You need either a pension, remote work, or substantial savings. The area is politically conservative, and integration requires effort. Winters in the Harz foothills are cold, and the cultural scene is modest. But for the price of a decent European vacation, you can own a home here outright, and that math is hard to argue with. Town number 6. At number 6, Hoyerswerda in Saxony, in the Lusatia region. Population approximately 32,000. This town represents perhaps the most extreme example of German affordability. Hoyerswerda has experienced the most dramatic population decline of any German city, dropping from over 70,000 in 1981 to around 32,000 today. That decline has created property prices that feel almost fictional. Apartments sell for 300 to 600 euros per square meter. You can find habitable apartments for 15,000 to 35,000 euros. Houses range from 50,000 to 100,000 euros. The local government has actively demolished empty Soviet-era housing blocks, which has actually stabilized remaining neighborhoods and created green spaces. Now, here is the surprising part that nobody mentions. Hoyerswerda is positioned in what is becoming one of Germany's most important economic transformation zones. The Lusatia region is receiving billions of euros in federal structural funding as Germany transitions away from coal. New research institutes, renewable energy companies, and technology parks are being developed. A massive new battery factory and several green hydrogen projects are planned within 30 kilometers of the town. This is not speculation. These are funded, approved projects. I talked to a German engineer in his early 40s who moved from Stuttgart 2 years ago. He bought a renovated 3-bedroom apartment for just 38,000 euros in 2022. He works for one of the new energy companies in the region. He told me his colleagues think he is crazy until they visit. Then they start searching for property listings themselves. His mortgage payment is 180 euros per month. His former rent in Stuttgart was 1,400 euros per month. He said it took him exactly 1 month to realize he was never going back to Western Germany. The trade-off is the Sorbian Slavic cultural heritage area requires openness to a unique regional identity. The town's Soviet-era architecture in certain districts is not beautiful, and the ongoing transformation means construction and disruption in some areas. But for anyone who can see 10 years ahead, Hoyerswerda represents a rare opportunity to buy into an area before billions in investment fundamentally change its trajectory. We are now entering the top 5, and I need to be honest with you. What I am about to reveal surprised even me during my research. These next towns combine affordability with lifestyle quality in ways that genuinely challenge everything you think you know about European living costs. Stay with me, because the best is still ahead. Town number 5 at number 5, Zwickau, Saxony. Population approximately 87,000. Zwickau hits a sweet spot that very few affordable German towns achieve. It is big enough to function as a complete city with full urban infrastructure while remaining dramatically cheaper than anything in Western Germany. Property prices run 700 to 1,200 euros per square meter. A fully renovated apartment costs 50,000 to 100,000 euros. Family houses with gardens range from 100,000 to 180,000 euros. Rent for a 2-bedroom apartment averages 400 to 550 euros per month. The city punches above its weight in every category. The birthplace of composer Robert Schumann. It has a genuine cultural identity. Volkswagen operates a major manufacturing plant here, providing economic stability uncommon in Eastern German towns. The August Horch Museum celebrates the city's automotive heritage as the birthplace of Audi, a full hospital, multiple schools and gymnasiums, a University of Applied Sciences, shopping malls, and regular ice high-speed train connections to Leipzig in 40 minutes and Dresden in 60 minutes make Zwickau genuinely urban. I spoke with an Indian software developer in his late 20s who relocated from Bangalore 3 years ago. He bought a 2-bedroom apartment for 62,000 euros in 2021. He works for a tech company in Leipzig and commutes by train twice a week while working remotely the other days. He told me he was paying 40% of his salary on a small apartment in Bangalore. Now, he owns his home outright and saves over 60% of his German salary. The train to Leipzig takes less time than his old Bangalore commute. He said his family in India cannot believe the quality of life he has achieved. The trade-off is that Zwickau's affordability partly reflects its perception problem. Many Germans associate Saxony with political controversies. The city itself is undergoing transformation as automotive manufacturing shifts to electric vehicles, creating short-term uncertainty. But the fundamentals of cheap property, industrial employment, university infrastructure, and excellent transport connections create a combination that is objectively undervalued. Town number 4. At number 4, Eisleben in Saxony-Anhalt, the birthplace of Martin Luther. Population approximately 24,000. This is history at bargain prices. Eisleben is a UNESCO World Heritage Site because Martin Luther was born and died here. The historic town center features centuries-old architecture that towns across Europe would envy. And yet, property prices are among the lowest in all of Germany. Apartments sell for 350 to 750 euros per square meter. Houses with character and history range from 45,000 to 110,000 euros. You can own a piece of a UNESCO World Heritage Town for less than a year of rent in Frankfurt. The hospital provides regional medical care. Schools serve families from primary through secondary level. Halle is reachable in 35 minutes by train, providing access to a major university city with its full range of services. Leipzig is about 90 minutes away. I connected with a British history teacher in his 50s who moved here 6 years ago with his German wife. They bought a 4-bedroom, half-timbered house near the town center for 78,000 euros in 2018. He told me nowhere else in Europe can you live inside a UNESCO site at these prices. Their house has original timber beams from the 1700s. Tourists walk past their front door taking photographs while they drink coffee in their kitchen. Their total monthly costs for 2 people run about 850 euros. The trade-off is clear. Eisleben is small and the local economy is limited. Employment options require either remote work, commuting to Halle, or self-employment. The younger population has declined significantly. But for history lovers, retirees, writers, remote workers, or anyone who values living surrounded by centuries of heritage without paying heritage prices, Eisleben delivers something genuinely unique. Town number 3. At number 3. Altenburg in Thuringia. Population, approximately 31,000. Altenburg is where German affordability meets genuine lifestyle quality in a way that feels almost unfair. The town features a spectacular Renaissance castle complex overlooking a beautifully preserved old town. It is the birthplace of the card game Skat, which is essentially Germany's national card game with tournaments and a dedicated museum. Property prices run 400 and 900 euros per square meter. Beautiful old townhouses with ornate facades sell for 60,000 to 130,000 euros. Apartments in renovated historic buildings start at 30,000 euros. But here is what separates Altenburg from even cheaper locations. Leipzig is only 45 minutes away by direct train. That puts you within easy commuting distance of one of Germany's fastest growing, most dynamic cities. Leipzig's tech scene, cultural life, university, an international airport become accessible while you live in a town where your money goes 5 times further. The town has a full hospital, multiple schools, a beautiful public park, a theater that has operated since the 1800s, and a weekly market selling regional produce. I talked to a young German couple in their early 30s, both working in Leipzig. They bought a 3-bedroom townhouse with a courtyard garden in the old town for 88,000 euros in 2020. Their mortgage payment is 320 euros per month. Their friends in Leipzig pay 900 euros in rent for smaller apartments. They commute by train 4 days a week and work from home 1 day. They told me the commute takes 45 minutes door to door, which is less than most people spend commuting within Berlin or Munich. They saved enough in 2 years to renovate their entire upper floor. The trade-off is that Altenburg requires accepting small-town life outside working hours. Restaurants close early. Shopping is basic. The younger demographic is thin locally. But with Leipzig less than an hour away for urban experiences, this town offers the mathematical cheat code of earning city wages while spending small-town money. That combination is almost impossible to find anywhere else in Western Europe. Town number 2. At number 2. Weißenfels in Saxony-Anhalt on the Soul River. Population approximately 40,000 winefuls. Sits in an extraordinary geographic sweet spot. Leipzig is 30 minutes south by train. Halle is 30 minutes north. Jena is 60 minutes southwest. Nuremberg and its UNESCO World Heritage Cathedral are 15 minutes away. You are sitting in the center of one of Germany's most culturally rich corridors, while paying some of the country's lowest property prices. Apartments sell for 500 to 900 euros per square meter. Family houses range from 70,000 to 150,000 euros. The Baroque old town features impressive architecture, including a palace complex overlooking the river. The town's strategic location along the Leipzig-Halle economic corridor means it benefits from regional growth, without yet reflecting it in property prices. Major employers in logistics and food processing provide local jobs beyond the typical remote work dependency of cheaper towns. A full hospital serves the region. Multiple schools operate at all levels. Direct S-Bahn connections to Leipzig are under development, which will reduce commute times further and likely increase property values significantly. I spoke with a South African couple in their late 40s who emigrated to Germany 5 years ago. They bought a renovated 4-bedroom house near the river for 95,000 euros in 2019. He commutes to Leipzig for work in the automotive industry. She runs an online business from home. They told me they spent 2 years researching every affordable region in Europe. Portugal was too far from economic centers. Spain had visa complications. Eastern Europe had infrastructure concerns. Germany solved everything. World-class healthcare, excellent infrastructure, Central European location, and Weißenfels gave them German quality at a price they could afford outright. Their children attend local schools for free. University will be free when they are older. Monthly family expenses run about 1,800 euros for 4 people. The trade-off is the industrial areas of town are not attractive. Some districts show signs of economic transition and neglect. The cultural scene locally is modest, but the geographic positioning between 2 major cities means you are never more than 30 minutes from everything a city offers while owning a home that costs less than 2 years of rent in any of those cities. As the Leipzig-Halle metropolitan region expands, Weißenfels is positioned to benefit from growth that has not yet been priced in. Now, before I reveal the number 1 town, I want you to think about something. Every town on this list offers property at prices that most Western Europeans and Americans find genuinely hard to believe. But the town at number 1 does something none of the others quite achieve. It combines affordability with a quality of life factor that makes it not just cheap, but genuinely desirable. This is not about finding the absolute lowest price. It is about finding the place where value, lifestyle, infrastructure, and opportunity intersect perfectly. Town number 1. At number 1. Göttingen, adjacent, specifically Duderstadt and the surrounding Eichsfeld region in Lower Saxony and Thuringia. Population approximately 20,000. In Duderstadt proper with surrounding villages, adding another 15,000. Here is why this area takes the top position. It delivers something almost impossible to find anywhere in Western Europe. Genuinely affordable property in a stunningly beautiful medieval town with direct access to a world-class university city. Duderstadt is one of Germany's best preserved medieval towns. Over 600 half-timbered houses line its streets, many dating back to the 1500s and 1600s. The town wall is largely intact. The market square looks like it belongs in a fairy tale. UNESCO has recognized its significance, and it consistently ranks among Germany's most beautiful small towns. Property prices are remarkable. Half-timbered houses in the old town sell for 80,000 to 160,000 euros. Family houses with gardens in surrounding villages run 70,000 to 140,000 euros. Apartments start at 40,000 euros. You can own a medieval house in one of Germany's most beautiful towns for the price of a small apartment in any major European city. But here is the critical factor. Göttingen is only 25 minutes away by car and 35 minutes by bus. Göttingen is home to one of Europe's most prestigious universities, Zagoregu Augusta Universität, with over 30,000 students. The Max Planck Institutes for multiple disciplines are headquartered there. This creates a thriving intellectual, cultural, and economic ecosystem that radiates into the surrounding region. Healthcare is excellent. Göttingen's University Hospital is one of Germany's finest, and it is less than 30 minutes from your front door. Schools in the Eichsfeld region perform above national averages. The local culture is deeply rooted with festivals, traditions, and a sense of community that larger cities have lost. The landscape is rolling green hills, forests, and medieval villages that look unchanged for centuries. I talked to an Australian academic couple in their early 50s who moved from Sydney 6 years ago. He holds a research position at a Max Planck Institute in... They bought a renovated half-timbered house in Duderstadt SOL town for 115,000 euros in 2018. She works remotely as an editor. They told me they left a mortgage in Sydney that was costing them 3,200 Australian dollars per month for a small unit. They now own a 400-year-old house outright in a medieval German town. Their children walk to school. Healthcare is free. University will be free for their kids! Their monthly expenses for a family of 4 run about 2,100 euros. They calculated that they save over 40,000 euros per year compared to their Sydney life. In 5 years, that is 200,000 euros. He said, some mornings, he walks through the medieval streets to get bread from the bakery and genuinely cannot believe this is his actual life. It feels like you are cheating the system because the quality of life to cost ratio simply does not make rational sense. The trade-off is that the Eichsfeld region is culturally conservative and deeply Catholic, which is unusual for Eastern Central Germany. Integration requires genuine effort and respect for local traditions. The winter climate is cold, with temperatures regularly dropping below -5 degrees Celsius. Public transport to Göttingen runs regularly, but is not as frequent as urban systems. And the medieval houses, while beautiful, sometimes require specialized renovation that costs more than modern construction. But for families wanting access to world-class education and healthcare, for academics and researchers connected to Geschichtens institutions, for remote workers seeking beauty and affordability, and for retirees wanting a storybook European life on a modest pension. The Eichsfeld region around Duderstadt delivers what no other affordable German location can match: medieval beauty, academic excellence, exceptional healthcare, and genuine community, all at prices that make the rest of Western Europe look absurd. So there you have it. 10 German towns where the cost of living is so low that it fundamentally changes what is possible for your life. Let me be completely transparent about what moving to a small German town actually requires, because I refuse to sell you a fantasy without the reality attached. The German language is essential for daily life in small towns. English will get you through the first month, not the first year. Learning German is not optional. It is the price of entry. Bureaucracy is real. German administration is thorough, detailed, and sometimes maddening. Getting residency, registering your address, opening a bank account, and navigating health insurance requires patience and persistence. Cultural adjustment takes time. German directness is not rudeness. German privacy is not unfriendliness. German rules are not rigidity for its own sake. Understanding these cultural differences is the difference between thriving and being miserable. Winters are genuinely cold across all of these towns. If you cannot handle months of gray skies and temperatures below freezing, this is not your path. But for the right people, the mathematics are absolutely undeniable. Someone paying 1,500 euros per month in rent in London, Amsterdam, or Paris spends 180,000 euros over 10 years and owns nothing at the end. That same money buys a house outright in any of these towns, fully renovated, with enough left over to live modestly for years. Total property costs across these 10 towns range from 30,000 euros at Hoyerswerda to 160,000 euros for a medieval house in Duderstadt. Most cluster between 60,000 and 120,000 euros for complete family homes. Monthly living costs range from 750 to 2,100 euros depending on family size and lifestyle. These towns are not glamorous. They will not impress people at cocktail parties. They do not have Michelin star restaurants or world-famous nightclubs. But they offer something that expensive cities increasingly cannot: a home you actually own. Healthcare that does not bankrupt you. Education that does not create decades of debt. Time that belongs to you instead of your landlord. And a quality of daily life that no amount of money can buy in a city where that money disappears in the rent every single month. The question is simple. Would you trade urban prestige for genuine financial freedom in one of Europe's most stable, safe, and well-organized countries? Which of these towns surprised you the most? Tell me honestly in the comments, because I want to know what resonates with people who are actually considering this path. If you made it this far, you are clearly serious about this. Subscribe now, because I am building a channel around realistic alternative living. Strategies that acknowledge real trade-offs instead of selling impossible dreams. Hit that like button so this video reaches the people who need to hear that options exist outside the system that is draining them financially. Your future self will thank you for at least exploring the possibility.